Oh, hi there. I'm Christine McGee, and welcome back to the Channel 7 News. Today, we will take an in-depth look at the Democratic Republic of Congo's natural resource conflict. For those of you who are new to this pressing issue, here is some background information on what is often referred to as the deadliest conflict since World War II. To begin, the Democratic Republic of Congo is located in the sub-Saharan Africa, surrounded by 8 countries and the South Atlantic Ocean. It is the second largest country in its continent and the 11th largest country in the world. What makes it so unique and controversial is its limitless quantities of untapped minerals. There is an estimated $24 trillion that are deposited within the borders of the DRC, making it potentially the world's richest country. Some of the highly demanded minerals found in the DRC include 70% of the Earth's coltan supply, 30% of all diamond reserves, and an abundance of copper, cobalt, tin, and timber. Some of these resources are found in important technology hardware, such as computers, cellular devices, and even batteries. However, the unstable government and corrupt military system has caused these natural resources to become conflict minerals. Conflict minerals can be defined as the mining of minerals under severe armed conflict and human rights abuse conditions. In order to understand the current issue at hand, we must take a look back at the root of the problem. And we're back! So, it all began in the late 1800s when King Leopold II's Belgium colonized the Democratic Republic of Congo. As the Belgian forces began to dominate the African country, they also gained control of trade. Forced labor in harvesting rubber and ivory, as well as building transportation and infrastructure, for almost a century marked the commencement of Congolese oppression. On June 30th, 1960, the DRC gained independence from Belgium as the leader of the Congolese national movement, Patrice Lumumba, won the first national election. Just months later, Lumumba was deposed and killed by rebel militia, and army leader Joseph Désiré Mobutu installed himself as president in January of 1965. Although Mobutu was considered to be elected and re-elected in his 32-year reign, his electoral systems were highly corrupt, with no opposing party. His political style was known as authoritarian and anti-communist, and he gained excessive amounts of personal wealth over the years instead of distributing it to poverty-ridden public. Despite the worsened violence and oppression in that time, many countries, including Canada, were forced to cut off their aid after numerous deadly attacks on protesters and peacekeepers. When Mobutu left the country in 1996, Tutsi rebels, Rwanda and Uganda, joined together to take control of the large portion of DRC. By May of 1997, Mobutu was forced to flee into exile, and Laurent Kabila, leader of those opposed to Mobutu, took control of the country and its natural resources. After going into power, Kabila alienated many of his allies in surrounding countries, causing a chain reaction of rebel organizations and ultimately the First and Second Congo War. Although 2 Congo civil wars have been declared over since 2003, rebel militia in other countries continue to fight against the Democratic Republic of Congo for control. Some notable opposing organizations include the Movement for Liberation of Congo, MLC, Democratic Forces for Liberation of Rwanda, FDLR, March 23 Movement, M23, and the Lord's Resistance of Rwanda, LRC. Their true intentions in fighting against Congo's national army, as well as each other, for the power of the DRC's rich natural resources. Since Mobutu's power to present time, the DRC's economic output continues to grow weaker. This allows numerous military commanders to exploit the abundant resources and set up illegal, mass-scale looting, dealing with foreign companies strictly for personal gain and unfair profit. Now, we have Tara Smith braving Congo's capital, allowing a more diverse point of view on the DRC's government. Hello, Tara. Please tell us what exactly is happening in the Democratic Republic of Congo in respect to the government at this point in time.
Thank you. I'm here in Kinshasa, the capital of the Democratic Republic of Congo, right in the center of this natural resource conflict. In 2001, Laurent Kabila, who was at the time the president of the DRC, was assassinated by the Rwandan dictator Paul Kagame. Kabila dismissed Kagame from the rebel group that had brought Kabila to power. Essentially, Kabila used Kagame to gain power and climb up the social hierarchy and then dismissed him. Joseph Kabila came into power in 2001 after his father was assassinated. His election was very controversial. The president of the DRC has a 4-year term, and then a new election is meant to happen. The citizens of the DRC saw it as unjust and a misrepresentation of their country. Joseph Kabila's leadership is twisted as he uses military and army power to gain control of resources in the country. Kabila is currently working with the demands of the M23 under threat of war. The M23 want to remain in their native land in order to continue to mine illegally. The government here is ruthless, slaughtering civilians, pulling confused villagers out of their huts and shooting them in the head. The army is stealing everything from the people of the DRC, food, houses, and they cannot live in peace. This is not a great time here for the people of the DRC. It may seem as though there is no hope for this rich yet poor country. However, it doesn't mean the public should stop trying. Non-government organizations such as the United Nations have been working hard to establish a proper government system. Peace envoys have been and should continue to be sent to establish a true democratic system and country. With their help, citizens might one day be able to properly vote for a stable government without the threat of a corrupt election. In 2002, the UN appointed Mustafa Niasse as a special envoy for the DRC peace process to aid the formation of a national unity government. And back to you in the studio, Christine.
Thank you, Tara, for your eye-opening analysis on the DRC's government in respect to the country's natural resources. We are now going to Stephen Powell, who will take us through the social injustices of the DRC. So, Stephen, can you tell us exactly what are the circumstances that the citizens of the Democratic Republic of Congo are forced to face in their day-to-day lives?
I'm Stephen Powell. I'm currently undercover in the Democratic Republic of Congo. The story of Congo is often overlooked because of its complexity. It is a story where boundaries are porous and national identity mean little. Congolese are exposed to death every day and night. It is desperation that is written all over their faces. The death toll is now surpassing the Holocaust. An estimate of 7 million have died in the DR Congo. The vast majority have actually died from non-violent causes such as malaria, diarrhea, and malnutrition, all typically preventable in normal circumstances. DRC high incidence of poverty is partly attributable to the ethnic conflict that spilled over from neighboring Rwanda and an ongoing civil war between government troops and rebel groups in eastern Congo.
Wanasema ni rako ndarafori kunatoka Rwanda, inatokea Rwanda inakuja mpaka huku. Maiko mambo ya kusema rako ndio jamaa iko napigana. Basha shuka mpaka hivi. Kiumba yote doki kiumba iko hapa nayo inatombe.
Sexual violence has characterized much of the violence that is happening in Congo. Used as a tactic of war by the rebel groups, the daily violation of women and children by armed groups have created a climate of fear and reputation for the DRCs as world's worst place to be a woman or a child. Women from ages 6 to 80 have become victims, and one statistic suggests that over 200,000 women may have been victimized over the past decade. According to the American General Public Health Study, women are raped in the DRC at the rate of 48 an hour, 11 and 52 a day, and 420,000 a year. Despite abundant natural resources such as iron, gold, and diamond, the DRC has one of the highest incidents of poverty in the world, at a rate of 71.34. It is an incidence of poverty that is extremely high, even though in comparison with other Central African countries. However, this poverty is not evenly distributed. The IMF estimated that poverty is more prevalent in rural areas at the rate of 75.72% than in urban areas, which is at a rate of 61.49%. Here, the battle is on for control of the mines and resources. So long as the minerals are there, they will never have peace. Now, instead of the minerals being a blessing, they have unfortunately become a curse for the population. The Congo was and continued to be plundered by its mineral resources. In the mines of Congo, the workers risk their lives on a daily basis, hoping to get rich, but very little gold goes into the pocket. So far, their digging, shivering, and hard work has led to only more greed, war crimes, and plundering. The global community can help diminish the corrupt mining escapade by banning the use of conflict minerals. Multinational cooperation can start campaigns for public awareness and only use resources that are mined under purely civil circumstances. The UN has already established the Kimberley Process Certification Scheme, which works to prevent exploited resources from circulating the global market and mitigate financing toward violent and corrupt rebels. Now back to you, Christine.
Thank you, Stephen. As you can see, the DRC and its economic and social spectrum are forced to suffer from the political corruption. Despite its potential, some may say that the country's abundance of natural resources is a curse that fuels each authoritative figure to lash out for personal wealth as opposed to national gain. And there you have it. The crisis in the resources of the DRC is devastating and have been for decades upon decades. It is hard to imagine living in such adverse circumstances. However, it is happening in Africa, and we must do our part by informing the global community on what is happening. Please stay tuned for next week for an updated report on the progress of the DRC's natural resource conflict. And up next, how can you save your money by changing your diet? You will find out after this break.